Did anyone ever tell you the brutal truth about life after 80? Crossing into your 80s brings a quiet shift that few people talk about. Not the surface-level stuff like birthdays or slower mornings, but the deeper, often unspoken changes. It's a time filled with both wisdom and loss, presence and distance, deep peace and sometimes deep loneliness. And if you're not prepared for some of those shifts, they can catch you off guard, leaving you wondering, why didn't someone tell me? In this video, we're walking through 5 brutal realities of life after 80. Not to scare you, not to depress you, but to offer clarity, because when you see these things coming, you're no longer at their mercy. You can prepare for them, and you can meet them with strength instead of surprise. We'll talk about the shrinking circles, the body that doesn't bounce back the way it used to, the creeping dependence that feels uncomfortable, even when it's necessary, the quiet way society starts to overlook you, and that strange ache that shows up when old regrets meet too much time and too little purpose. Stay with us until the end, because while some of these truths may feel heavy, they also open the door to something powerful: acceptance, resilience, and a chance to shape the final stretch of life with the kind of dignity no one else gets to define but you. Let's talk about what really happens after 80 and how you can walk through it with open eyes, steady hands, and your head held high. Number 1, a social circle that quietly disappears. One of the first realities that hits after 80 isn't physical, it's relational. The people who once filled your world begin to fade, often without warning. Friends pass, neighbors move, siblings grow quiet. Even longtime companions who once called every week start calling every few months. It's not personal, it's just time. But it leaves a space that can feel hollow, no matter how strong or independent you are. You wake up one morning and realize the phone doesn't ring like it used to. The invitations slow down. The family visits grow shorter, more rushed. People still love you, but they're busy or distracted, or dealing with their own aging in different ways. And slowly, the everyday interactions that once kept your life rich with voices and laughter start thinning out. This isn't something anyone prepares you for. In your 60s and even 70s, most people are still around. There's energy, movement, check-ins. But after 80, there's a shift. You begin to outlive people. You begin to outpace conversations. And that shift is quiet, so quiet that at first you might not even notice it's happened. I knew a man named Walter, 84, who used to go to the same coffee shop every morning for years. The staff knew his order. His friends met him there without texting first. It was a rhythm. But over time, those friends stopped coming. Some passed, some moved, and others just stopped driving. One day, Walter told me, "It's strange to walk into a place where everyone used to know your name, and now you're just the man in the corner booth." The pain of that kind of loneliness isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with tears or visible grief. Sometimes it's just a long silence after dinner, or a walk that feels a little too quiet. It's realizing that the list of people who really know you is getting shorter, and you can't stop it. But knowing this reality means you can do something about it. You can open new doors even when others have closed. You can stay connected on your terms, whether through a church group, a weekly lunch, a phone call you initiate, or even a letter. Because after 80, connection doesn't come to you the way it once did. You have to go get it, and that takes courage. But you've made it this far. You already have that courage in you. Number 2, a body that stops bouncing back. By the time you reach 80, your body doesn't whisper, it speaks clearly. The little aches that used to come and go now linger. The fatigue that once passed after a nap might stretch into the next day. And the truth that catches many people off guard is this: after 80, even small health problems can change your life overnight. You might wake up feeling fine, go about your day, and by evening, something feels off. A little dizziness, a sore leg, a cough that sticks around longer than expected. And suddenly you're sitting in a waiting room, hearing words like monitoring, imaging, or possible admission. What used to be brushed off with rest now demands attention. And often there's no going back to how things were before. What makes this stage so difficult isn't just the physical pain, it's the unpredictability. You can do everything right, eat well, move gently, get your sleep, and still feel like your body is one step ahead of you, making decisions you didn't agree to. A misstep on the stairs can lead to weeks of recovery. A stomach bug can drain you for days. And even when you recover, things don't always return to normal. Your balance might feel off. Your breathing might take more effort. The bounce back isn't what it used to be. I once met a woman named Gloria, 81, who was sharp, active, and proud of her independence. She loved tending her backyard garden, walking the neighborhood, staying engaged with her book club. But after a minor fall while trimming a rose bush, everything changed. It wasn't the injury, it was the aftermath. Weeks of rest turned into months of reduced strength. Her confidence slipped. "I thought I was just taking a break," she said, but my body treated it like a full stop. That's the part no one tells you. At 80, rest is not always restorative in the same way. It can turn into decline if you're not careful. And sometimes, even when you're careful, your body decides to slow down anyway. You realize you're not bouncing back, you're adapting forward. But here's the strength in knowing this. You start honoring your energy more wisely. You learn to pace yourself, not out of fear, but out of respect for what your body has carried you through. You treat health not as a guarantee, but as a daily practice, a sacred one. And when you do that, even if the bounce is gone, your footing becomes steadier. You walk slower, but more aware. You rest longer, but more intentionally. And you begin to see that even a slower body can still carry a strong spirit. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, a growing need for help no matter how independent you are. One of the hardest pills to swallow after 80 is this. You start needing help for things you used to do without thinking. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in quietly, subtly until one day you notice. You're avoiding the high cabinets. You're holding onto the railing just a little tighter. You're hesitating before getting behind the wheel on a rainy day. And even though part of you still feels capable, another part knows some things aren't as easy anymore. What makes this reality difficult isn't just the physical shift, it's the emotional one. For those who've lived decades taking care of others, the thought of becoming the one who needs help can feel deeply uncomfortable. You may start feeling like a burden, or you may begin hiding what you can't do, skipping the grocery trip, not telling your kids you tripped, trying to fix the light bulb on your own. Even though your shoulder's been hurting for weeks, the desire to stay independent doesn't go away. If anything, it grows stronger. But the truth is, independence after 80 looks different than it did at 60. It's not about doing everything alone. It's about knowing when to ask for help and being brave enough to accept it. I knew a man named Eugene, 85, who prided himself on doing everything himself. He had lived through war, raised 4 kids, built his own shed out back with nothing but spare wood and determination. But one winter, he slipped on his icy driveway. No broken bones, just bruised pride. He didn't tell anyone, but his daughter noticed something was different. She started showing up once a week to bring groceries and stay for coffee. At first, Eugene resisted. "I'm fine," he'd say. But over time, that coffee became a ritual. And eventually, he admitted something that surprised even him. It's nice, not having to carry everything alone. That's the shift. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Knowing that accepting help isn't a loss of independence, it's a way of protecting it. Because when you allow someone to help you climb the stairs, or drive you to the doctor, or carry that heavy bag, you're actually giving yourself more years of doing what matters most. And not all help has to come from people. It can be a grab bar in the shower, a stool in the kitchen, a reminder on the fridge. These little supports don't take away your dignity, they preserve it. After 80, the bravest thing you can say might just be, "I could use a hand." Because the older you get, the more strength you show by choosing safety over pride, peace over struggle, and connection over isolation. Number 4, a presence the world starts to overlook. One of the more painful realities of life after 80 isn't about your body or your memory, it's about your presence. Slowly, you begin to feel invisible. Not to the people who love you, maybe, but to the world at large. The cashier looks past you to the person behind you. The doctor talks to your adult child instead of you. The server at the restaurant assumes you can't hear, or think, or decide for yourself. It's subtle at first, then it becomes more frequent. And even if you try to brush it off, it lands somewhere deep. Because no matter how old we are, we still want to be seen. And when you've lived a full life, worked, raised a family, made decisions, weathered storms, it's jarring to feel dismissed just because your skin has folded or your hair has grayed. What hurts more is that it's rarely meant with malice. A fast world that forgets slow steps still carries stories. A society obsessed with youth that forgets the strength it took to reach this age. And unless you speak up, you risk shrinking. Not because you've lost your voice, but because others stopped listening. I remember a woman named Irene, 86, who volunteered at a local museum. One day, a visitor asked the staff a question she could have answered in her sleep. After all, she'd lived through that very decade of history, but the question skipped right over her. When I asked her how she felt, she just smiled and said, "I'm used to it." But there was sadness in that smile, the kind that comes from being seen as furniture instead of fire. But you are not furniture. You are not background. You are still here, still thinking, still contributing. And just because the world sometimes forgets, that doesn't mean you have to. So what can you do? You speak anyway. You ask the questions. You offer the opinions. You vote. You share your stories, even when no one asks. You stand up, even if your knees wobble. Because every time you claim your space in the room, you remind the world and yourself that you are not done yet. You are not invisible. You are a living library, a witness to time, a voice that still matters. And you don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to refuse to disappear. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, a sense of regret. If purpose isn't redefined, the quiet danger after 80. As we move deeper into our 80s, something subtle begins to happen. The pace of life slows, not just on the outside, but within. Mornings come a little quieter. The phone doesn't ring as often. Invitations grow fewer, and schedules that were once overflowing with commitments now have more open spaces than appointments. At first, this slowness might feel like a welcome rest. After all, you've earned it. But with that silence comes something else. Space. Space to think, to remember, to reflect. And while reflection can be a beautiful act of honoring the past, it can also invite regret if your sense of purpose hasn't evolved alongside the years. This is one of the hidden emotional dangers of aging that few talk about. It doesn't wear a dramatic face. It's not always sadness or despair. Sometimes it's just a soft heaviness, unspoken but deeply felt. It's the, "I wish I'd spent more time with them" kind. The "why didn't I take that chance when I had it" kind. It sneaks in during those quiet afternoons when there's time but not always energy, space but not always freedom. That's when the question arises, not loudly but persistently. What now? The disorientation of retirement and the purpose void. For many, retirement marks a long-awaited milestone. You step away from decades of hard work, the alarm clocks are gone, the daily grind finally behind you. But then what? If your identity has always been tied to doing, to building, to leading or serving, the sudden halt in responsibility can feel like an identity crisis. Who are you now that no one is depending on your work? Who are you when no one is asking for your opinion in meetings, when your phone isn't buzzing with decisions that need to be made? I once met a man named Stanley. He was 88 years old and had been a high school history teacher for over 4 decades. Generations of students had passed through his classroom. His reputation in the community was solid. But after retirement, the silence set in. "No one needs me anymore," he told me once, looking down at his hands. But the truth was, he hadn't yet discovered a new way to be needed. And that distinction is everything. Purpose doesn't retire, it changes form. What Stanley didn't realize right away, and what many seniors struggle with, is that purpose doesn't disappear with age. It just evolves. You may not be writing reports or teaching lessons anymore, but your life still contains powerful meaning. It just looks different now. Maybe you no longer build houses with your hands, but you build confidence in your great-grandchildren when you tell them stories of how you once failed and tried again. Maybe you don't lead boardroom discussions anymore, but you lead with wisdom when you offer quiet presence to someone grieving. Maybe you're not solving national problems or business challenges, but you're solving loneliness with a smile to your neighbor or a warm conversation with someone who needed to be seen. The danger of regret isn't just in the mistakes we've made, it's in what we don't do with them. It's in the sitting too long with what didn't happen, rather than turning it into something meaningful. It's allowing memories to haunt instead of inform, to burden instead of inspire. But when you begin to see purpose not as productivity, but as presence, something incredible shifts. You realize you still have so much to give, not just to others, but to yourself. Aging with intention, the work of the soul. The most important work you do after 80 might not be public. It may not come with applause or recognition. In fact, it likely won't. It may happen in the quiet moments when you choose to wake up with kindness in your heart, curiosity in your eyes, and courage in your voice. Courage to ask, how can I bring light today, even if just a little? This is soul work. It's not glamorous, it's not busy, but it's deeply human, and perhaps more needed now than ever in a world that often overlooks the quiet power of age. Redemption over regret. Redefining purpose doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It doesn't erase the what-ifs or the missed chances. It simply means you refuse to let those questions weigh you down anymore. Instead, you use them. You redeem them. The regret of not spending more time with someone can lead to a phone call today that mends a bridge. The regret of not following a dream might inspire you to support someone else in following theirs. The regret of silence can become a reason to speak, to share your story, your truth, your voice. In that way, regret becomes not an anchor, but a teacher, not a weight, but a tool for deeper connection. The wisdom and challenge of growing older. Reaching your 80s is a remarkable accomplishment. It's a summit built on decades of love, effort, mistakes, recovery, growth, and resilience. But with that view comes new realities. Some are subtle, others are difficult to ignore. Your body might not recover like it used to. Your circle of friends may shrink. Your energy may feel unpredictable. Technology might outpace your interests. And society, busy and fast-moving, might make you feel invisible. But none of that erases your value. None of that diminishes the magnitude of your life. If you've ever found yourself asking, "What now?" know that question isn't a sign of failure. It's an invitation to reshape your days, to redefine what purpose means to you now. And only you can answer that. You are not alone. Let's be honest. This stage of life isn't always easy. The slowness can feel isolating, the forgetfulness frustrating, the loss of control painful. But in all of that, there is still choice. You can choose connection, even if it's just a chat with the cashier or a letter to a distant friend. You can choose rest without guilt, knowing that rest is also a form of wisdom. You can choose to ask for help, knowing that vulnerability is not weakness, but courage in its rawest form. You can choose to speak up when someone overlooks you, and choose to listen deeply when someone else needs your grace. You can choose to forgive yourself for what didn't happen, what wasn't said, what wasn't done. And you can choose to honor yourself for the quiet ways you kept going, kept caring, kept showing up. This chapter of life isn't the end, it's the depth. It's the part of the story where every word carries more meaning, where small gestures like a hug, a kind word, a steady gaze mean more than grand ones ever did, where your presence, your patience, and your perspective become your greatest contributions. A new kind of power. There is a strength that comes in later life, not the kind that lifts heavy things or moves fast through the world, but the kind that understands the value of stillness, of watching, of waiting, of knowing. It's the strength to let go of old battles, the strength to forgive, the strength to love again, even after loss, the strength to accept what cannot be changed and to change what still can be. And perhaps most importantly, it's the strength to continue becoming even now, because as long as you're breathing, there is still life to be lived. And within that life, purpose isn't behind you, it's beside you. Final thoughts. So which of these 5 emotional truths struck you the most? Was it the silence that comes when your social world begins to shrink? The frustration of a body that doesn't bounce back like it used to? The discomfort of needing help when you've spent a lifetime helping others? The ache of being overlooked in a fast-moving world? Or the quiet danger of regret that creeps in when your purpose hasn't been redefined? Whatever it was, I hope you felt seen, because here's the truth, you are not alone. Not in the slowing down, not in the quiet evenings, not in the wondering, and certainly not in the asking of, what now? You still get to choose. Choose joy, choose courage, choose love, choose to be seen, choose to keep showing up. This life, your life, isn't just a story of what has been. It's still being written. The pen is still in your hand. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. What's one thing you took away from today's video, and how do you plan to apply it in your life? Your thoughts matter. Your story matters. And reading your reflections gives us great motivation to keep creating content that informs and inspires. If this video helped you or someone you love, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it. Your support keeps this message alive. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.